Good evening, everybody. Hello, this is Political Forum for August 11th. My guest today is Representative André Thapedi.
Thank you.
Thank you for appearing today. Representative Thapedi is of the 32nd District. I'm Kathy Posner of the Board of Directors of CAN TV, and this is a live interactive program brought to you as a community service by CAN TV. We welcome your calls, questions, or comments in the next 25 minutes by calling 312-738-1060, 312-738-1060. Representative, I'm going to put up a map of the boundaries of your district, and I wonder if you could just explain a little bit where the boundaries are while viewers look at this.
Well, thank you so much, first of all, for having me here this evening, Kathy. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're looking now at the map of the 32nd District, and again, my name is State Representative André Thapedi. You'll notice that the map of the district shows that this is a very diverse community. The easternmost boundary is Cottage Grove. The westernmost boundary is Pulaski. I go as far north as 59th Street, and then alternatively, I go as far south as 83rd Street. So I'm incorporating the communities of Park Manor, the communities of Woodlawn, the communities of Inglewood, West Inglewood, Marquette Park, the Ashburn area, and just by me saying those names, that you can see that's a very diverse.
Well, look how
community.
many wards you've got.
I've got 7 of them.
Yeah, you've got 7. You've got a lot of
Yes.
wards there. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, it comes from a story that I'd heard from a friend of mine who told it to me when she heard you were going to be on the show. A friend of mine was having problems with getting her unemployment check and couldn't find anybody at IDES, the Illinois Department of Employment Services, to help her. She didn't know where to turn, and she decided to call your office because you're her state representative. And she called me today to say, please, thank Representative Thapedi, because it was incredible how his office immediately reacted, and not only reacted, followed through, but they called her a week later to make sure that everything had worked out okay. And I think the importance of the story is that people should not be afraid to call their state representative or their elected official, because they are afraid, thinking, oh, I can't get access to somebody that important. Well, they might not get immediate access to you, but somebody in your office who's been empowered to help the constituents is there. And I just wondered, if you wanted to talk at all about constituent services and your accessibility.
Well, again, constituent services is of paramount importance to me. That's why I ran for office. I ran for office. I'm an attorney by trade, but I ran for office for just that reason, to be able to provide people with the services that they so desperately need. I think that when someone calls an elected official like myself, there should be a response, period. That's what we're there for. We're elected to do that. We're paid to do that. Those are our jobs. Now, understanding that as a state representative, I focus in on state-related issues. But again, in my office, and we made this very clear when I first ran, that I wanted to act as a conduit for the constituents, that even though an issue may not necessarily be state-related, I still wanted to ensure that at least at a bare minimum, I could get the person moving in the right direction.
Right. I mean,
Yes.
because you have 7 different wards, I mean, a lot of times, someone might call a ward office, not get an answer. If they call you, certainly if then they're being led to the ward office through the state representative,
Yes.
for some reason, a call might get returned sooner.
Yes.
But everybody should realize this is what the elected officials are there for. You can call the governor's office, the mayor's office. You call any office. There's always someone who's going to help you. And I was so pleased to hear that story about you, because my friend was scared. She didn't understand what was going on, and IDS didn't answer the phone. So
I want to tell you, Kathy, that happens quite frequently. That is an issue that we deal with constantly. For an example, interestingly enough, one of the most prevalent calls that we get in my office dealing with state-related issues are from issues that people are having with, believe it or not, the Department of Corrections. That family members are looking for ways to try to see, not necessarily to get someone out of prison,
right,
but to make them more accessible so they can visit them. And I'm always advising them of legislation that's currently pending in Springfield. For an example, there will be a pilot project that will allow family members to go to a particular location and video conference with that particular inmate. That way that we can make the process a little bit more accessible. Now, keep in mind that I do recognize that there are a lot of law-abiding citizens that don't feel comfortable about that, and I understand that, and I do see their concerns. However, you have to also recognize that as a public servant, just because a family member did something wrong, that doesn't necessarily mean that the grandmother or the mother should be penalized.
Or a child should be able to see their mother or father.
Absolutely.
Right, with Skyping. I got Skype recently. I was nervous. I knew nothing about technology. A friend came and downloaded it. Now I'm making all my friends get Skype, and it's free.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's so I hadn't even thought about that for prisoners. I mean, how wonderful, you know, it would be for, you know, a 2 or 3-year-old who can't necessarily make the trip 3 or 4 hours away, that the mother could hold the baby up to the screen.
Yes, yes, yes.
And do it. Because the friends of mine who have it now, it's mostly because they're grandmothers and they want to be able to see to see the children. Oh, you said that, you know, there might be some people that would be upset at the video conferencing, you know, or the Skyping. Why would that be? I just wondered.
Victims' rights. And I think it's quite simply that's something that cannot be ignored. And as an attorney,
right,
who actually was raised by a judge, and my mother is my law partner, that I certainly understand that aspect of the criminal justice system, that there are obviously two different sides to every story. But again, in my position as a state representative, it's my charge and it's my duty to try to make things as easily accessible to citizens as I possibly can.
Right, right. I'm not taking anything away from the victim, but if there is a child, why make the child of the prisoner be a victim also, to not have a chance to bond with their parent?
Yes.
So, you know, setting that up is wonderful. Crime is certainly a major issue.
Huge.
In the city of Chicago especially. I mean, not just this, the state of Illinois, but in the areas where your district is. What have the crime numbers looked like? Do you know how many different police districts maybe even encompass your ward? You probably
I have two.
Couple. Yeah.
I have two. But as far as crime statistics in my district, they're climbing at an exponential rate. Something has to be done, and I am imploring all of your viewers to stop the violence. Stop the violence in the city of Chicago. This cannot continue anymore. And I think that there are many different reasons for why we are having these problems in the city of Chicago. And I think that those are things that have to be addressed. But the immediate concern now is stopping the violence. We cannot fix this legislatively.
No, it can't.
It cannot be done. I have embarked on drafting legislation that will try to address these issues, be it from safe zones to what have you. And I've had a lot of meaningful conversations with the National Rifle Association because, as you know, in Springfield, one of the most heated debates that you will see in Springfield is a gun battle. It's literally lines are drawn in the sand, and the anti-gun lobby is on one side, the pro-gun lobby is on the other side, and absolutely nothing is accomplished.
Right.
And as an attorney, I am very, very cognizant of the Second Amendment. I do not want to see the Second Amendment overturned or abrogated or anything like that in any way whatsoever. But there has to be a balance between the constitutional protections granted under the Second Amendment and the lives of the children that reside in the city of Chicago, and most specifically, from my concern, the 32nd District.
Yeah, I just want to remind people they're watching Political Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Kathy Posner, member of the Board of Directors of CAN TV. We welcome your calls or comments to 312-738-1060, 312-738-1060. On the issue you were talking about with guns, you know, we do the gun turn-in, you know, early every summer.
Yes.
And I spoke to any number of policemen. I sit on a police board, who told me that the majority, so we're talking maybe 95% of the guns that are turned in, are useless anyway. A lot of them are turned in, you know, 50 at a time by a gun dealer who just had used them. You know, they were guns that they took in as a trade-in. They're not street guns.
Yes.
So we're not taking guns off the street, and I think sometimes people think that we are, and we're not taking them off.
And this is what's happening, and this is an issue that, and I was very honored when Mayor Daley selected me to author and champion and usher through the legislature a piece of legislation that creates the Interstate Gun Trafficking Task Force. We know that there's a problem with interstate gun trafficking. We know that. In fact, the ATF came back with a study, And that study revealed that 43% of the illegal weapons that are seized in 5 police districts come from as far away as Mississippi.
Wow.
Mississippi. 43% of the illegal weapons, primarily that are seized in the city of Chicago, are coming from Mississippi. The next state is Indiana. So we know where the weapons are coming from. So again, it's that fine line in ensuring that these weapons don't end up in the hands of unresponsible individuals.
Yeah.
The city of Chicago has drafted their ordinance. I would anticipate that there will be litigation on that issue, as there generally always is. But in the meantime, we've got to come up with a solution, and that's my charge, and that's what I'm attempting to do on a consistent and daily basis.
Yeah, I remember Quinn signed a bill about 2 weeks ago having to do with transportation of guns on railroads, where then they beefed up the law that when there was a robbery of weapons, that actually local law enforcement would be informed. And I was astounded that that law had to be passed, because you would have thought automatically that local enforcement was informed when there was a heist from a train.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, especially with the crime issue, is that we're in a very responsive type of position, that we're continually responding to things that we normally wouldn't anticipate would happen. But again, this is the year 2010 in the city of Chicago, and we have numerous challenges, and we have to come up with a solution, and we want to do that.
Well, we'll let the callers have an opportunity now. Your question or comment, please?
Yes, I'd like to ask State Representative Thapedi what he feels like his greatest accomplishment is since he's taken office.
My greatest accomplishment, was that the question?
Yeah,
Yes.
since you've taken
Since
office.
I've taken office, I think that there have been several things, and I can't identify anything in particular that's been my greatest accomplishment, because every day I'm accomplishing something new. And that's because I do my homework, because I want to be the best representative I possibly can be. From drafting legislation, as I just mentioned, dealing with the Interstate Gun Trafficking Task Force, to also drafting legislation that addresses problems with foreclosures in the city of Chicago, and more specifically in the 32nd District. Those are just 2 examples, but I definitely appreciate the call. Thank you.
Well, one of your upcoming accomplishments is the district fair that you're having on Saturday.
Yes.
There we go, or it's blown up right on